Hi, it's Jordan Teen 1, and in this tutorial I'm going to share with you the new pattern for my chevron sleeve. So the chevron pattern is this zigzag up and down look, and I've always really loved that. I have several different blankets and afghans that use that pattern, and I was trying to come up with a new creative gift idea for Mother's Day, and I wanted to incorporate that pattern. So I thought, why not make a sleeve that you can use to go around a candle or a coffee mug or water bottle, or really there's a multitude of things that you can use to put this around. So the one I'm going to show you in the tutorial today is this one in the middle, and it is going around a large size Yankee candle. So it's the 22-ounce size, and it would also fit the same around a medium size Yankee candle. And of course it can be any brand. The circumference of this jar is about 12 inches, and the stitch count, or the chain count that I begin with, is a total of 57. Now for the two examples on either side here, you can see I have this one going on a smaller candle that's actually in a mason jar, and that has a circumference of 10 inches. And I did add some cute little flowers. So this is actually a flower that I had come up with a while back, and it's the puff stitch flower. So you can find a tutorial for that on my channel, and I will add the link. Now this one and the one on the left actually started with a little bit of a smaller chain count. They actually started with a chain of 49. So I think it would make a really great personalized handmade Mother's Day gift, birthday gift, housewarming, or really for any number of different occasions. To make your chevron sleeve, you're going to need a hook of some sort. So I have the Rainbow Loom metal hook. You're going to need a clip or a stitch marker. And then as far as my band counts that I used to go around the large size candle, I used 372 white, 378 pink, and 252 fuchsia. I'm going to start by making a chain of 56. So I've decided to use white for my border, and on the very last band I am going to connect this together to make a ring. So making a chain is really quite simple. You just take your first band. I am going to triple this, so I'm just going to twist, loop it back on, twist, loop it back on again. I'll have the 3 loops. And then one at a time I'm just going to put the band on my hook, take that tripled band, slide it on, and grab the other end. And then I'm just pulling through one at a time, sliding it right through, and putting it right back on. So as you're forming this, if you pull down on the chain that you're forming as you're pulling through, it's going to really open up your loops, and it's going to help your hook from getting caught. So as I said, we are going to connect this so we can make a complete circle. So I'm going to chain up to the 56th band, and then with the 57th band we're going to connect the beginning and the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you finish doing the chain on your own, and when I get near the end here I will come back and show you how to attach it together. So I have my chain of 56, and now what I'm going to do is make sure that this chain is completely straight. So I'm just going to run my fingers along it, make sure that it's nice and smooth and straight. And then I'm going to go back through that tripled band, make sure I get through all 3 loops. And I'm going to take my 57th band, it's going to pull through everything, get the other end back on, and one through the other. And then I'm going to take a clip and attach. In row 2 and every other row you're going to need a total of 63 bands. So I have the pattern laid out here, at least the first part of it. I didn't have enough room to lay it all out, but what we're going to do to create that chevron look is we're going to do 3 singles, and then we're going to skip 1 chain, 3 additional singles, and then we're going to do 3 in the same chain. So you should have your chain here with your band on your hook, your very last band, and we did connect it through this tripled band. What I'm going to do is pull back towards myself, and I'm going to go through that tripled band. Make sure you're going from front to back. That's going to actually be our first stitch, and since I am changing color, I'm going to pull through everything. If you're not changing color, you would only pull through the chain and not through everything, doing one through the other. So that's what's known as a slip stitch. And then in the next chain, pushing through from front to back, make sure you keep your chain nice and straight. Pull through, back on, you'll have your 3 loops, one through the other 2. Move over to your next chain. We're going to do our 3rd single. And then in the next chain we're going to skip. So that's why I have my clip here. So just ignore that, go to the very next one. And we have 3 more singles. Now you'll notice as you start to form this where we skipped, it's going to pull these bands closer together, and that's what's going to create your peaks. So this is my 2nd and 3rd single in this section, and then in the next band we have 3 that are going to be in the same chain. So the first one goes through like a regular single crochet. We're going through a second time. Now here's where it's going to differ just a little bit. I'm going to pull through and put it back on, but I'm just going to leave those 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull back towards myself, and you can see how I'm using my fingers to hold those back. Pull through that next band, so now I'm going to have 5 loops, and the 1 is going to pull through all the rest. So that's what's going to round this out and make our valleys. So that's the pattern we're going to just continue to repeat. So we have 3 singles, so 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 1, move to the next. We're going to do 3 singles once again. 1, 2, 3. And then in the next one we're going to do 3 in the same. So the first one gets pulled through like a regular single. We're going back through the same chain. Second band comes through, but this time we're leaving them all on. Third one comes through, and the end band goes through all the rest. So the reason that we're doing that is because if we did them like a single crochet, all 3 in that same chain, it would create 3 more stitches, and we would gain a stitch every row. So that's why we had to do it that way. So I have 3 singles. It actually took me a while to, whoops, didn't quite make it through there. It took me a while to get that pattern to work out properly. So that's 3. We're skipping the next. Again, sometimes your chain might be kind of jumbly looking, so make sure as you're going through them, I like to keep running my fingers along, making sure that it's nice and straight. So I'm skipping the next one. I have 1, 2, 3, and then again 3 in the same. So 1 pulls through like regular, back through, pull through, you have 3 loops, back through, 5 loops, and as you're pulling through, if you feel like your hook's getting hung up, if you pull down as you're pulling through and sort of wiggle your hook as well, it's going to help it to slide through a lot easier. So really that's all there is to this pattern. So I have 3 singles, skip the next, 3 more. And then finally 3 together. So 1, and then the last 2, 1 through the other 4. So you should notice a little bit of the pattern starting to form. It's kind of messy at first. Once you get a couple rows going, you'll see the shape will hold much better. So you can pause here, continue around in that same pattern, and when we get back closer to the start, I'll join you again and show you how to finish this row. Now I have 3 bands left, and I'm on my last chain here. It's going to be right before where your clip is. Again, make sure it's nice and straight. Just finish it off here. So we have 1, back through for the second, back through for the third, and 1 through the others. So technically we didn't go all the way to where the clip is, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the clip out and put the band around my hook. Now, as I said, it might look kind of jumbly, so what I like to do after every row is just to go along here, try and make sure that everything is as smooth as it can be. Once you get a couple more rows on, it's going to be even better, especially here where you have your valleys. I like to just sort of push it inward, try and just push it flat with my fingers. Sometimes it's a little bit more sticking out in one direction or the other. In row 3, you're going to need 63 bands again. We're doing the same exact pattern throughout, so I just have the first set laid out. Now, if you're following the colors like I did and you changed colors from your chain to your first row, what you are going to have right here is what's considered a slip stitch. So if you look here, it may look like a true stitch, but it's not. And usually I tell you to ignore that, but in this instance I am going to count this as a stitch. So my first pink here, it's going to be a little bit tighter because it's not actually the true stitch, but I'm going to count it as 1. So that's going to be my very first one. Second, make sure you're going front to back under both loops. Third, and then we're going to skip the next, and you should see that in the line here you should have skipped it up above. So we're skipping this one, and you can see up above that's the same one that we skipped in the previous part of the chain. So that should always line up for you. So skip that one. We have our next 3 singles. And then again, where your valley was in the middle here of your previous valley, that's where we're going to do our next valley. So once again, the first one goes through like a regular single crochet. Whoops, jumped right on my hook, just perfect. And then pull through the remaining 2, and then once they're all on, you pull through. So now you can kind of see here how the pattern is starting to form. So again, you're just going to repeat that the whole way around, and I will come back with you again when we get around to the start. Now I have 4 bands left and 2 stitches. So this next one in my pattern is going to be where I do 3 in the same. And then I have one more here where my clip is, and that's going to start the first single in my next row. So you just have to remember that when we do the next row, we've already done the very first single. So once again, just take a minute and just try and get these as flat and smooth as you can, especially where you have those valleys. And sometimes you may notice like one of the bands kind of pokes out a little bit more from where we put those two together. So I like to just sort of try and work that nice and flat so that there's not any apparent bands that are just poking out. Almost looks like a starish kind of a shape there. But that's the beginning of our pattern. So what you would do is just continue with as many rows as you want to do. You can change colors anytime you like. Just remember when you do change colors that you need to make a slip stitch. So for example, my next row that I want to do is going to be white. So I'll just show you the very first band. And remember, we already did one in the pattern. So I have 2 more singles and then I'm going to skip one. But in this very first band, since I am changing to white, I'm going to pull through the stitch but then also through the one on my hook. So I have just the 2 loops and one through the other 2. And then I would just continue around until I'm back to the start once again. So you can pause your videos here, complete the rest of your rows, and then I will show you how to finish it off. Now I have completed my candle sleeve. I have this one last band on my hook here that I need to tie off. So I want to go under the first white in this same row here. I'm going to pick the inner loop because I want it to be hidden. I'm just going to go through those 2 loops, take this additional band and pull through both of those, get the other end back on, one through the other, and make a nice and tight slip knot. So then the very last thing I'm going to do is just take my hook, I'm going to go under these white loops in the inside part here, take that band and just work it through so that it gets hidden. So you probably have to go through several different ones just to get it completely underneath. So now it is totally ready. All I have to do is just slip it down on my candle, and there you go. I hope that everyone loves their new chevron pattern sleeves. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook. You can post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that way you can stay up to date when I have new tutorials available. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to post your pictures there, leave me comments, and if you do share anything on Instagram, don't forget to tag me. Thanks for watching!